Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we're doing one of the last books in my little wrap-up series. We are talking about my top 10 books of the year. I'm so excited. I'm wondering if you guys can guess which ones they are, but we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna look through these. I'm gonna go from 10 to 1. I wasn't going to rank these originally, but I think I've picked them in quite a good order that makes sense for me and what I like to read. So let's talk about it. Book number 10 is The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. I didn't think that a dark romance was gonna end up on my top 10 books, but this book, I devoured it. This is a really chunky book, and I read this on my Kindle. Like, I read it with my eyeballs, the whole thing. This is a dark romance. It is a dark secret society that is like full of rich kids. They attend a specific university. They go there, the men get inducted into the Lords and the women become Chosens. This follows Riot and Blakely. Blakely is Riot's chosen. He's been obsessed with her for like the longest time and she can't stand him. Riot is the definition of like, I hate everyone but you. He does everything for his woman and he is so protective. I'm obsessed with him. This book has lived in my brain rent-free from the moment that I picked it up, and it still lives there. I think one of my favorite things about this book is the fact that Riot, while he's like this bad guy, he worships the ground that Blakely walks on, and he just is obsessed with her and just gives her so much space and respect. He lets her explore her sexuality in such a beautiful way. So this one is really high up on my list because of that, and I really loved it. These books are great because they're 50% plot and 50% spice, and I adore that mix. Book number 9 is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I read this in January and loved it. This book was so good. This gets dragged a bit on the social media, but I think that this book is everything my heart wants and more. I adored it. It is a childhood friends to lovers second chance. It follows two brothers and this girl who comes to the area. Her parents buy a beach house in the area that these two boys live in, and she's been being bullied at school and she's come here for like a bit of a break. So in that sense, it definitely gives The Summer I Turned Pretty vibes. But so Percy and Sam become fast friends. They have this wholesome, beautiful friendship, and I adored it. Eventually their romantic feelings obviously start to evolve, but then something happens and they are separated for like 11 years, a long time, and they reunited at Sam's mum's funeral. Definitely check your triggers for this. The reason for the breakup may not be for everybody, but I ask you to go in with an open mind. When the breakup happens, they are very young teenagers, and the actions that teenagers make are never logical. It's very much a struggle, but I adored this book so much. I related so much to Percy and her emotional struggles and the things that she goes through in school. I think my only gripe with this book is the fact that she accepted the friend back that bullied her, which was just ridiculous to me. But this one touched me in such a way that I will never forget about. I will recommend this book until the day that I die because I just think it is beautifully written. It is really enjoyable. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it is definitely for me. Book number 8. I finished this just recently. I was putting off making this video so I could read this. I kept like not sure if this was gonna make it into the top 10, and then Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home would make it into the 20 to 11 rank. But this one takes the cake because Julian Haytes, I get it. I very much get why everyone loves Julian Haytes. He is the softest, sweetest, most caring soul. He just loves Magnolia, and my heart breaks for him. And in this book, I love the relationship between Daisy and Christian when they start to work on it again. They are probably the least toxic of the group, and I really enjoy their dynamic. But the ending of this book has left me so scared. I have no idea what to expect with the next book. There is no release date for the next book of Daisy Haytes. It ends on such a cliffy that I just don't even know how to feel. I actually kind of wish I'd put it off. But yeah, that's all I want to say on the Magnolia Parks book, on this book, because everyone and their mother knows about this book, and if you don't, I don't know what hole you're living under, but there is a reason these are popular. They're definitely not for everyone again, but they are beautifully written and very enjoyable. I loved seeing the relationship between Magnolia and Daisy form in this. I adored it. It was great. Number 7 is also another recent release, and that is Shadows of You by Catherine Cowles. I tossed up between whether Glimmers of You or Shadows of You was my favorite, but now I just keep thinking about Shadows of You for days. I adored this book. This is a romantic suspense written by Catherine Cowles, obviously, and it is it's a single mum, and he's like this grumpy guy, recluse, and it's forced proximity. So Aspen is running from something and trying to protect her daughter. There is secrets. Someone is trying to track her down. Someone is sending her creepy messages, and things just are not quite as they seem. Well, I guess they're not really the way that she anticipated the world going. So Roan, who is like the part of the security team in this town, moves in with her to try and protect her and her daughter, and he is so like misjudged by the people in his town. When he breaks down those walls and connects with Aspen and her daughter, I was like, my heart was so full. He is the sweetest little man of all time. I'm obsessed. I was so obsessed, and the epilogue was beautiful. I adored it. And the fact that Aspen's daughter calls him Mr. Grizz was honestly hilarious, because it was like just making fun of the fact that he's grumpy, and it was just so cute. I love Catherine Cowles' writing. She is definitely a new auto-buy author for me. I really enjoyed her series this year, and I can't wait to dive into her backlog. Book number 6 is Heartless by Elsie Silver. I adored this. I devoured it in a very short period of time. This is the special edition from Eternal Embers, and I just think it's so freaking cute. I really love single dad tropes. This is great. I think this is such a fun book. This is my favorite. I love their relationship. I love Willa's personality. I love the way that Cade is so grumpy and like can't be around her, but then just grows to love her in such a beautiful way. I think the reason why this book is such a standout for me as well is the relationship that, I think the reason why this book is such a standout for me is because of the relationship that Willa forms with Luke. It is so wholesome and sweet, but it's also very respectful. She treats him like the appropriate age that he is. She doesn't baby him. She doesn't give baby talk. She just treats him respectfully. And like when conflicts happen around the child and things, like things are just discussed so logically and just sweetly. I really enjoyed that. It also has a trope in there that I never really liked, and because of this book I also really like it because of the way that it was handled. It just made so much sense. The spice was great. I am probably going to be rereading this very soon as well because I loved it so much. I need to like read it again. It has like the caring for her trope. It is just the perfect single dad nanny trope book. This is, I just love it. I just love it so much. And Elsie Silver can do no wrong in my eyes. Book number 5 should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody, but this is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Oh my God. Miss Lila put in absolute crack into this book. It was so good. There is no third act breakup, and it's a brother's best friend with no third act breakup, which is so rare to find. Brother's best friend is one of my favorite tropes, and I hate the third act breakup. So the fact that she didn't include that makes this book elite level for me. This is going to be a reread for me constantly. I've already started the audiobook again to listen to it because I just love it. I think it is great. There is not a lot of spice in this, but the spice that is in this is amazing. I have like no complaints, literally no complaints. But this follows Emmy, or Clementine Ryder is her full name. She's Meadowlark's sweetheart. She's a barrel racer, and after she gets thrown off her horse, she comes back to her small town to try and build her confidence back and get back on the horse. But who should do that and help her get that confidence back other than her brother's best friend, Luke Brooks, muscle tee wearing, sexy bar owner, Luke Brooks. The tension and the friggin' angst between these two, it delivers. I am now a spitting convert. The fact that there is spitting in this book just lives in my brain rent-free. There is so many fun, sweet family moments in this book. I loved it. I cannot wait for the next book though. It's gonna be such a fun ride. I love cowboy romance, and this is the perfect cowboy romance. Book number 4 is again from another new to me author that is now in my rotation. I'm going to be reading her entire backlog and everything she puts out, but it is After the Storm by Laura Pavlov. This book was great. This is another single dad romance. This is not nanny trope though. This is second chance. I loved this. The healing and the journey that these two go on. A book that was so anticipated because Cade was so beloved. I adored his daughter, Gracie. She is so cute, so sweet. There were so many funny moments in this book as well. Cade and Presley dated in high school. They split up because long distance was too hard and they just couldn't communicate. But again, these are two teenagers that just couldn't get their shit together. And now Presley's gotten divorced. She's come back home to be with her dad after he has a bit of a tumble in his life. She also has a very overbearing mother, which also hit me in my heartstrings. This gets a lot of complaints, but I just don't really get it. I just don't get it. Gracie was so funny. The freaking pig was such a hilarious addition. The family dynamics in this book will always, this whole series, the whole family dynamics in this series will just always be my favorite. The text chains, everything about it was utter perfection. There is a reason this book is so high. It just belongs there. It is great. My top three, I have already reread this year because they will be going into like my comfort reads for the rest of my life and I am obsessed. Two of my top three have no third act breakup. So I'm sure that says something about me and what I like. Book number three is Juniper Hill by Daphne Perry. This book will not be beat in my eyes. Knox Eden does it for me and I love this book so freaking much. This follows Memphis and Knox. Memphis is a single mom. She runs away from her family in New York, leaving something behind to start new, start fresh, have a new beginning in her life, and she comes to Quincy, Montana to work as a cleaner at the Eloise Inn. She can't find a rental, so what does Eloise do? She rents out Knox's loft to her, and Knox does not want her there. He cannot stand having people in his space, particularly a child. And when you find out why, your heart will shatter into a million pieces. But this book will put you back together and heal you at the same time. This doesn't have a lot of spice either, but it is so incredibly beautiful. The spice that is in it delivers. This is definitely a comfort read. I just adored it. I love seeing how Memphis grows and just becomes such a confident, strong woman. The plot of this is so wild. My heart was like racing the first time I read like the climax. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. It was like late at night and I just could not stop until I finished it because it was amazing. If you haven't read this, obviously please do. Like I said, single mom. Knox is a chef with tattoos. He is a hunk of a man and I just can't get enough of him. Check your trigger warnings though in this because you may be triggered by some things, but it is so good. And as I said, this is one of the ones with no third act breakup. Now, book number two was what I thought was gonna take first place, but my first place is better. It is better. Even though it has a third act breakup, this one does not. It is Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton. This book made me a second chance girly. This made me a second chance girly because it was so good. Cade and Marigold have known each other since they were little. Marigold is Cade's sister's best friend. So this is sister's best friend's brother. They grew up in the same small town, very close to each other. Their families were friends and have always been close and had a very special bond. Now, Mare leaves after they break up and never comes back to Sutton. She is too hard for her to come back. She won't come back. There's too many memories of her mum and there's too many memories of her relationship with Cade. Now she's returned because her best friend's mum dies, who was basically a second mum to her, and now she's forced to face Cade, which is hard obviously at the start. Obviously as it goes on, their relationship forms and they start to communicate and grow as people again. This has the secret tattoo trope. I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a specific scene, it's about like halfway through, where you see what he was doing while she was gone and his feelings were never lost for her and were always there. But again, they broke up because they couldn't communicate. And I'm not the biggest miscommunication girly, but this is a logical miscommunication. She was 18, 19, leaving for college. It was hard. He was too afraid to leave his small town because, you know, he wanted to stay and work on his family ranch. And it shows you the complexities of being a young adult and trying to navigate becoming an adult. It was beautiful. I adored it with every fiber of my being. It will live in my heart forever and will be on my constant comfort audiobook rotation because it just heals the soul in such a beautiful way, particularly because there is no third act breakup. It shows you how second chance doesn't have to be a bad trope, because people can work it out. People can communicate and work it out once they've had that time apart and actively want to work it out as adults. So I loved it. There is like time that they are separated, but they never break up. There is just constant communication through them and they just want to be together. I loved the ending. I loved this. It is perfection in my eyes. My number one book will probably be in like 90% of people's top books of the year, if not 100% of romance readers' top books of the year, because there is a reason that this book is so beloved, and it is like fucking crack. It has a third act breakup, but it was needed. It was, again, well communicated throughout it, so respectful of each other. It was beautiful. Book number one is The Right Move by Liz Tomford. This book will forever be in my heart. I relate so much to Indy Ivers. She is just like other girls and she owns it. Like, she doesn't need to feel like, she doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm not like other girls. She just is authentically her always, and it is so wholesome and so sweet. This is another best friend's brother. This is fake dating and false proximity. Indy goes through a really bad breakup and needs somewhere to live. So her best friend Stevie says, hey, go live with my brother. He has a spare room. But her brother does not, Mr. Ryan Shea does not want Indy there because she is like a hurricane. Making a mess in his life. She's too colorful. He just wants to wallow in constant self-pity. But when she comes in and steals his heart, it is one of the most sweetest, healing romances I've ever read about in my life. Ryan is very closed off for a reason. Once he opens up with Indy and explains why, she is just so respectful and their love for each other grows. When she opens up to him about why she's trying to save money, he is also so respectful and sweet. It is one of the most beautiful romances I've ever read about in my entire life. Ryan Shea is the standard. It should be the bare minimum for boyfriends of the world. If your man doesn't do shit like Ryan Shea, then you need to find yourself a new man, because this is what all men should be like. And if they're not, well, they can go in the bin. But Ryan Shea will always be the ultimate for me. He is so caring towards Indy. The things that he does, he learns a freaking sign language so that he can speak to her parents and speak to her dad. He is just the best human in the entire world. When they break up, he does, the breakup happens because he blows up over something and just doesn't like hear her out and listen to her. But again, he's very jaded, very damaged, so it's logical. But they take her apart, they work on it. She needs to like learn to trust him again. He needs to learn to trust her again and deal with his issues. And they just do it so well. And the ending was great. I loved this. I cannot wait for the rest of the books in this series because it is so beautifully written. I know some people say it's maybe a little bit too long, but it doesn't feel it. It is so necessary to be this long. In my eyes, this book is iconic. These are some of my top 10. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys had a great reading year and had some absolute freaking standouts, because I did. Choosing my top books was really hard, but I did it. And I loved them. They were so freaking great. And I can't wait to see what makes my top 10 list of next year. Tell me below the books on your top 10 list, because I would love to hear about it. Stay tuned for the next video because I'm very nervous to film it. And I think it's gonna be probably traumatizing. But please like and subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, because there is still so many fun videos coming before the end of the month and in the early new year. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.